business owner? Entrepreneur? Want to learn how online marketing can improve your business?
Your questions.
Our advice.
This is Not a Real Job.
All right, welcome to episode 56 of Not a Real Job, a podcast for small business owners and entrepreneurs about marketing, social media, websites, and web apps from New York City. I'm Joel, and I'm in New York City.
I am Chris, and I usually am in New York City.
I am usually there too, but I'd say that I'm from Nova Scotia.
It's a gag.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a goof we do. So we're going to be a little rushed for this episode, probably. Chris says probably not, but we are actually in New York City. There's two other people other than Chris and I within earshot, so it's super awkward.
Well, no, I mean, I think this counts as our first live show.
We're having a live show.
Yeah.
That's amazing. This is okay. Are we on tour?
Basically like a house concert, except for podcasts.
Okay, and then maybe we'll record a quick episode before my wedding in October.
Yeah.
Maybe at the wedding.
I think we should just record the wedding and make that an episode.
Aww. It's so sweet.
Never, because of that, I'm taking that idea back.
So, yeah, if the audio sounds bad, it's because we are recording on one mic again, like the last New York episode.
Yeah, but the last one, that was an echoey room. This is a lot better.
This is, I'm going to say acoustically pleasing.
Yes, and a lot less sherry involved this time, so I probably won't slur as much.
Sadly, Chris appears to have been pacing himself. I really thought we were
I learned from my mistakes.
in for another wacky disaster, but this time I've got two other people to help me attempt to move you around and in and out of cabs and chase you down the street.
To keep me from losing wallets.
Yeah, well, I didn't do a super job that time, but in my defense, you did disappear as soon as I turned my back. So let's address really the major problem of this episode, which is the fact that no one has submitted questions in weeks?
Months?
No, there's been something worse than that. So what we did is we asked my brother, who is in the room. Say hi, Kyle. There's no way that got picked up. Anyway, it sounds like we're just
like a mouse in the background.
No, it's like I'm pretending that there's other people in here. My brother died 6 years ago, but I feel him here all the time. Demons, yeah. So Kyle suggested that we do an episode on procrastination, which is a thing that I assume everyone suffers from. Is anybody super good at getting stuff done early?
I mean, I imagine like maybe David Allen, but I feel like that's maybe part of his job.
Well, yeah, that's part of his shtick.
Sure.
That's where he makes his money. Yeah. Well, that's like saying that you're good at building websites just because you get paid to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's very comparable.
I'm going to say this is, Chris makes fun of me all the time because I've always I'd say most times when we talk, I've downloaded a new app that I'm convinced is going to turn my life around.
I don't think I make fun of you.
You mention it.
It comes up in conversation.
Yeah. So my latest app, all that to say, I'm using Timeful, which I really like. It's
I've never heard of this. Tell me
it's
more.
It's pretty new. I was using the beta for a while, and it looks like they finally released a new version. What it does is you
it looks like a calendar.
It is a calendar. So you add a new item.
I have one of those.
Yep, but here I'm going to add a new item like tell Chris to F off. Then you select what it's for, like if it's fun or if it's from work or if it's personal. This is a work thing.
I think it's fun.
I'm going to say I need to do that today. I could select tomorrow or say in the next week or sometime before, a certain date. I'm going to say I'm going to do that today. And then I'm going to say it's going to take, actually, this is a 5-minute task. I'm going to hit set duration. I can add some notes if I want. I can set a time to do it, or, I can just say at any reasonable time, and it will suggest a time to do it.
Okay. So what do we got?
So I can hit this button. Sorry, I burped. And it will put it into my calendar.
Do you really
or
have exercise as a slot in your
it
calendar?
made me add health and wellness once when I signed up for the app. So I've got drink water, exercise, and floss.
Do you do any of those
No,
things?
but I do check them off every day. There we go.
Perfect.
Done.
We're all healthy now.
Yeah, so I can then move it and put it in a time, and what it does is it books it in this app, and it also adds it to my calendar. So every time you assign a task to yourself, it adds it to your calendar, which I think is super important because it blocks off that time. So when people see it, you've already blocked off the time to get a task done. It helps me because no one, or at least ideally, no one can tell me to do something during that time because they'll see my calendar and see that I'm busy. So that's
Interesting.
Timeful. Check it out. Link in the show notes.
Yeah.
That's
Cool.
my solution, is getting enough apps. Your problem probably isn't your attitude or your willpower. It's probably your access to software.
Yeah, that's usually the case with these situations.
Is that everything is a technology problem.
Software is eating the world, as I think Paul Graham said that. I don't know.
Okay, so we solved that problem. Try harder and get an app. You had suggested that you were going to go off on a rant.
Yeah.
A Kickstarter?
Yeah, well, I mean, not so much Kickstarter, but online products and crowdfunding in general.
He's against it.
I'm not against it.
Oh, shit, Chris.
I have certain reservations,
Stop talking. We forgot the most important part of this episode.
which is...
What are you drinking?
Oh, God, of course. I'm drinking a...
Our diehard fans have been going for the last 6 minutes thinking
Not
that we've
knowing.
messed up.
I'm drinking a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. And you yourself?
I have Johnny Walker Green Label. We went into the wine store, and I decided to buy a spirit that I did not have access to at home. I am a fan of the Johnny Walker product, or Johnny Walker products. Yeah,
The brand
plural.
speaks to you.
Speaks to. It's more of an aspirational brand.
Sure.
I
can understand.
So I like the Johnny Walker Black, and I like the Johnny Walker Gold. And the green is typically, a lot of people consider it the best, but we can't get that at home. So I picked up a bottle of that, and I'm drinking it, and it's quite nice.
Excellent.
All right, go back to your thing.
Okay, so I have a bit of an issue with online product sales and Kickstarters and all these sorts of things. And a couple in particular, and I'm about to name names, so sorry if you're listening to the show.
They're not.
So the two right now that sort of come to mind are the Coin and the Tile app. And they seem like really cool products, and they seem like they have really cool people behind these products. But I'm getting really sick of the, hey, we're going to announce this thing, and then a year later, still not have the thing ready to actually, be in my hands.
And in some cases, do super high production value ads with Adam Lissagor
Yeah.
announcing an amazing new product that doesn't actually exist.
Yeah, and not in any way slamming Adam Lissagor about this.
I think we can take a side against him right now. He's not going to be our friend. We have nothing to lose.
No, like it's just the sense that they show us this beautiful product that, for all intents and purposes, looks complete and looks ready, looks like it's something that we could have. And then 6 months later, oh well, we're still working on it. A year later, oh we're in the final phase of getting it ready. And I think the Coin is really just an especially good example, mainly because it's been in the news a lot lately for angering a lot of people because it's been taking so long, and that now we're almost a year later, and they're only now saying that they're going to start a beta program, and the real thing's not going to be available until spring of next year, at which time, in 2015...
It won't work.
It won't work, because they're switching over to the chip and pin system in the US here. So it's just... I'm seeing that as a recurring trend with these online Kickstarter products, where they take your money, and if you're lucky, you'll get it in a year. And I think that there are a lot of reasons that people are going this route. Of course, it makes sense to validate that a market exists by taking their money, because then at least you know that you're not wasting your time, but also like be a little further along in the process.
I think these people really just want to do a cool ad. Well, Coin was like that. Flag was another Kickstarter. That again, Sandwich Video, Adam Lissagor did an awesome ad for. I think people really just want to work with him, and
I want to work with him. He's good.
Sarah and I, we talked to him. We exchanged emails with him when we both worked at the same startup, and he was going to do an ad for us, but it got shut down by the powers that were. Yeah, it would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. I think people really just want to do cool ads well before they have a product. Tile and Tracker. Tracker is like, I guess, the competitor to Tile, though neither of these products exist.
Yeah.
I bought 10 trackers, and then it told me they would be shipping in like 6 months.
Yeah, and that's the other thing about these really long lead times on your products, that it's going to give time for other apps to come in and take the place. And not that that's necessarily a bad thing for the consumer. I would say it's probably a good thing for the consumer. But I don't know.
It's just lame.
It's a thing. It's a trend that I see a lot, and I don't really understand why. I don't understand, other than sort of the obvious, hey, that gives them an injection of cash to actually make the thing. Other than that, I don't see that there are any advantages. And certainly in Coin's case, they're getting a lot of shit for it. So I imagine that some people there at Coin HQ are wondering whether it was all worth it. I think it ultimately, like, it boils down to trust. Because now I'm sort of wondering about the coin. Had they even built a prototype at the time that they made that video? Was that all just smoke and mirrors? I mean, I'm sure a lot of it was smoke and mirrors. It's a video, and that's how they work. But
right, but they probably
did a
not
product
have
even
a single
exist at
one,
that
yeah.
point? Or maybe they're designing from the outside in. I don't know. And so
I have the same worries about the trackers. Like,
Yeah.
that I've spent, they have taken the $100 from me. Am I actually going to end up with something?
Yeah, and with the Tile and the Tracker, that's a situation where the network effect is going to make those products even more valuable. Having a lot of people using them, and by taking so long to get the darn things out to the market. I mean, honestly, I've been hearing about Tile for at least a year, maybe more, and they're still. I don't think they've shipped a single one yet. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I know on the website the other day it was like pre-order now.
Yeah.
So they're still taking what they consider to be pre-orders. And I don't know, it just seems like a really bad way to get customers to trust you, your company, and your product by taking their money and then taking a year or two to actually deliver on that. So yeah, that's my much tamer rant than I expected, but that's my opinion on that.
You didn't really bring the fire that I thought you were going to.
Sorry. A letdown today.
Well,
I mean, yeah, so there's that. I feel like we didn't talk about procrastination enough, because I feel like that's an issue that I have been encountering lately, and just productivity in general being close to zero, basically.
do you have a solution? I feel like
no, and
it's
that's
kind
why
of
I'm
easy
bringing it
just
up
to
again.
complain about it, though.
Yeah, it's very easy to complain about it. But I think, especially for people who are juggling a lot of different projects and maybe even juggling, different clients, if you're in the client space, it's such a huge issue. Making sure that all of your clients are being kept up to date on what you're working on, making sure that you're meeting those deadlines that you have for all the different clients. And for someone like myself, who is sort of a solo entrepreneur, I don't really have anyone checking in on things and making sure that I'm keeping deadlines. It's a real challenge. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I worry that, again, we've just brought this up without a solution. I mean, the deadline issue is I'm a terrible procrastinator, so I just attempt to set more personal deadlines, not client-based, but giving myself a set amount of time to accomplish a task. And that's where, like, an app like Timeful can be good, because instead of, it's not a to-do list, it's an appointment. It's a commitment to get something done at a certain time, which I find is a little bit more inspiring than just saying I should get this done at some point.
Sure. I mean, I guess my concern with approaches that are based around apps or things is that they are managing the problem, but they aren't stopping the problem at its root, right? So it's treatment-based medicine versus prevention-based medicine in a way. So I think really the questions that I'm concerned about, because I'll be able to get through it, this very busy time, and I'll be able to manage all the different things that need to get done. But it's a cycle that will repeat itself. So what are the things that somebody can do to maybe prevent that from happening again? And I think good systems with apps are a big part of it. And I also think this is all clearly very nebulous, because I'm still in the trenches in this situation. But taking on fewer clients that you charge more to, so you're still making the money that you need to make to run a sustainable business, but you're not pulled in 10,000 different directions.
Yeah, I guess with that, I'm not convinced that it's as solvable a problem. Like, I don't know, I can find, if I've got a slow week at work and only have one or two things I have to get done this week, they're still going to get done Friday afternoon. Like, for me, it's just this is a deficiency in the app, and the systems are prostheses. They're something to help mitigate something that is just a problem or a deficiency that I'm not sure can be solved internally. I can't run super fast, so I drive a car. I can't manage my time very well, so I use an app.
Sure. And I think that's there's
I used the physical activity thing and making the suggestion that there's nothing I could do about that, so I should just drive more. That was a bad example.
I thought it was an appropriate example.
As an overweight gentleman, there's literally nothing I can do to speed up my locomotion other than drive a car, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Generally speaking.
What? Yeah, jump in. Cut. Yeah, you have to come closer to the microphone, though.
Sure.
Speak up.
For me, it's once the hard problems are solved, it's the little stuff. I can work on a project, get everything figured out, so I know what needs to get done, and those sorts of problem solving are completed, and then I just don't want to do it. That's a solved problem in my mind, and I don't want to follow through.
The fun stuff has been done, is what you're saying.
Exactly. So usually when that happens, I find that my best thing is to move on. Yes, it might be the thing that's due the soonest, but if I'm not going to be productive on it, I go through my backlog and just find another challenge. And
so how do you end up getting that thing done, though?
Oh, crunch time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only motivation that works for those types of things.
I've also been hiring more. And this is something we've talked about on the show before several times, but for example, there's a big project that I'm working on right now that needs a special type of field in WordPress so users can add stories from their post archive onto a specific page very easily. And that's a situation where I did sort of all the fun stuff in advance. I figured out how it was going to work, how the information needed to be saved, what the interface would look like, just a rough wireframe, and then stalled on it for 2 weeks. And finally, this morning, actually, I took the effort and hired somebody who's going to actually build that out for me. Wish I had done it 2 weeks ago, but even so, it's making sure that thing gets done once the part that I needed to do was finished. So, yeah.
Yeah, I find the hiring thing makes sense. When you already have an internal team, though, that's a tough path to follow because you want to let your internal team, the people who work with you, also get to do the fun stuff. And it can be very easy to fall in the trap of, here, execute my great idea, and never give them the opportunity to have great ideas themselves. And it can be a pretty demotivating thing when they see that their boss is always working on fun stuff and always leaving them with just the execution.
I think that's why my nickname is the Demotivator.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Chris the Demotivator Patton? I guess Van Patten is your last name.
But
it's a separate word, so...
Sure. Fair enough. Cool. I think that's it.
All right.
Is that all we have to talk about?
That's all we got. That's good.
Cool. Show notes.
Housekeeping?
Housekeeping. It's the same thing.
Okay. Follow us on Twitter at NargeCast, at Chris Van Patten, at Joel Kelly. We're on Facebook now that I've been updating that every once in a while. Facebook.com/notarealjob.
Yes.
Send us questions.
Please send us questions. Notarealjob.com/questions. We are primarily a question-based show, so when we don't have questions,
happens.
Yeah, you experience this.
There are literally, and I know that you're thinking right now, I don't need to send in a question. Someone else will do it. You might be our only listener.
Yeah. It's possible.
It's possible. It's not only possible, it's probable that if you're listening to this, you are the only person listening. So please send in questions.
There are no stupid questions.
Well, and then... yeah, so notarealjob.com.
There are no stupid questions, only inappropriate ones.
Okay. About wieners.
Exactly.
Notarealjob.com/questions, Facebook.com. We did that one. I think we're done. That's
iTunes. Notarealjob.com/iTunes. Leave a review, give us some stars, tell your friends, and that is it.
So yeah, goodbye from New York. Sorry for the audio quality. Both you, the listener, and Steve for having to deal with the levels here. They are clearly up and down and all over the place. Bye.
Ciao.